Welcome to Thinking Design Podcast episode 4. This is your host Vedant Sharma and today's guest is PM Dalwadi. Parmanand Dalwadi is a photographer and photojournalist of international repute. He did his undergraduation in painting at the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda and post-graduation in visual communication at the National Institute of Design in 1963. He also trained under Henri Cartier-Bresson and during his time at NID worked with legendary architect Louis Kahn. In this episode, we will discuss photography in design. You did your undergraduation in fine arts, but then how did you get involved into design?
First of all, thank you very much for including me in your program. Most of the time, students listen to me, but this time some other people will listen to me. It's a very interesting long story I have. In 63, there was a cricket match in Ahmedabad. After my graduation, before I got the result, I came to Ahmedabad and I met Hakusha, one of the renowned artists. At the same time, he was with NID for last 6 months during that time. So he asked me, what are you doing? I said, I have come here to see 3 Ws. He said, what is 3 Ws? I said, 3 Ws means in the cricket, West Indies have got 3 very fast bowlers, Walls and there are 3 bowlers out now. I forgot the name, but Walls is, I remember still. And they are so fast that 150, 160, 170, so easily they throw. And there is hardly anybody who can really face that kind of bowling. So just to curiosity, I came and watched that particular match in Ahmedabad. And when I met him, he said that, what are you doing? I said, I have just appeared and result is after 20 days. So what is your idea? What to do? What are you going to do? I said, I don't have any idea because still result is awaiting. So he said, why don't you come tomorrow and see what we are doing at NID. At that time, NID's name was NDI. So next day I went there, met Hakubai, and then met chairperson Gira Sarabai, and I was introduced to her. We simply talked whether we will be passed or not passed and things like those kind of questions asked. I said, in fine arts there is hardly any chance not to pass. So I'm certainly going to pass. So he said that we have got some work for people like you. Would you like to come here? I had no other say, but say yes, why not? Like that. So he said, take it, come from tomorrow. So from that tomorrow, I was with NID. There wasn't any big interviews or big kind of halagulla. This test and that test, whatever is there now, we had no such thing in those days. Because I was the only person, first 10 people in there, I was the 10th maybe. So there wasn't anything like that. And started working there.
So you worked there instead of studying there?
But our position was student apprentice. So they have to pay less and get more work, But it was good. We were getting 150 rupees per month. And work was almost 24 hours. Because during that time we got, at NID, we got lots of interesting international assignments of exhibitions. New York World's Fair in 64, 65 Nehru exhibition, and many such work followed. I really got entangled with photography more because in the meantime one German professor came, photographer, who was in Ulm School of Design over there, and he was going to stay there for 3 years. So Giraben said that, would you like to be photographer and study under him? I said, I don't mind. I had no choice or no sort of selection as such. So I said, okay, I'll join him. Let's see what we can do. And from that day onwards, I became a photographer. Means I started learning photography. Earlier than that, I had never touched the camera. Of course, touched the camera, but not the way professional handling and things like that. So he really taught me lots of things. Today he will teach me, and tomorrow I have to teach somebody. And he will sit on the backside and try to correct me. Because in those days we had to have not only film shooting, but film processing also, making prints also. So all those things, there are many techniques which involves. Being an artist, I was not so much inclined that way, but still, I had some kind of calculation in my mind that yes, okay, this sort of thing I can do it. So somehow I survived with him for 3 long years and learned all kinds of photography which he knew, especially product, architectural, fashion, all those things he was. At NID we were taking some assignments and he was helping doing this thing. Exhibition means photography only. So a lot of interesting work was going on in those days. And I inclined more towards photography. And that is how I became a photographer. At the end of 68, I was a full-fledged degree holder photographer.
Okay, so we are always interested to know the initial days of design in India. And you being part of the first visual communication batch at NID, what was that experience like?
See, I don't know how I should describe that kind of experience, but accepting films, drama, Bhavai, especially in Gujarat, Bhavai, cinema, of course, all those media was going on. But at NID, what we were trying is that we were trying to document old Bhavai kind of process where it is going to be outdated and no new artist will come. So we were documenting those things, Bhavai things, and did a lot of interesting work in that session. But in the meantime, Nehru exhibition work came and then we got about 75,000 pictures of Nehru. And I was the person who was handling photography part in the whole thing. Charles Sims was the head of the exhibition. And everybody came, stayed there for a couple of months. And we had a lot of interaction of photography and photographs and selections and reselection like that. So it was really part of learning process, and equipment wise we had almost all best possible equipment. So I got hand on those kind of equipment like Sinar camera, Hasselblad camera, Calumet camera, Nikon camera, all those things we had just handy. So that is how I was more inclined and trying to be a master in photography. And somehow I got more and more chances. In the meantime, Cartier-Bresson, one of the renowned photographers of the world, journalist, he came, and somehow when such people come, they institute hand over us to them. This is your boy, you do whatever you like, he will take care of India part. Somehow I went with him for North India tour, including Kumbh Mela and many other places, historical places and everywhere. I went with him and came back. 26 January also we were there. And when we came back, Bresson said that this boy is good and I recommend him to my Magnum laboratory in Paris, where he can really have his good, his hand work, he can develop well. So after a couple of years, I got a Ford Foundation scholarship at NID. And in that scholarship, I was selected for going to Paris. And Bresson helped me in going to that particular laboratory. And I spent about nine months over there and learned really more than whatever we used to do at NID, the work. each and every person was doing 2 to 3,000 black and white print in 8 hours time, which was physically impossible. And the way everything was by hand, it was not automatic at all. Not a single process was automatic. So we had to expose 50, 60 prints, take it up, put it in the developer, and you have to watch. It is 1 minute. Then the rest you put it aside. Again you have to turn it out and turn it like that. If it is 2 minutes, then immediately you have to throw in the water. So that those 3 to 4 minutes, your hand is really very much tired. But somehow I lasted there for 9 months, and it was really a good practice. And because I went through Bresson, I got almost all kinds of red carpet treatment over there, which I think it is hardly anybody can get it that way. So this was one of the things, possibility. And when I went there, I also got more money from NID that you meet so and so people in part of Europe. So I spent again 15 more months to study under, say, apprenticed under some people over there in Switzerland, in Germany, France, and many places. And that has really made me a photographer, full-fledged photographer.
How did you get into design education now that you're a design teacher?
No, I'm not a design teacher, I'm a photography teacher.
That comes under design.
Yeah, you put it up in design, but as such, photography. But see, photography is really a tool for any designer. If they know drawing and painting, something like that, then photography should be part of designer's life. So in a short time, they can document things properly and refer it after whenever they need it. So it was really necessary. And in a design institute like that, we design our photography education in such a way that it was helpful to designers. We were also producing photographers, 4 years course in photography design, whatever you call it. So it was like that, but basically it is photography. But there are many partition in that, and a lot of work one has to do in every department, like fashion, architectural, industrial, product, exhibition. You name it, and that department is there in a way which can really give you speciality. But being a first person in photography in those days, I had to go through almost all the departments, and I was fortunate to be there that way.
What marked the difference in design education then and now?
I should more concentrate on photography.
Photography
Okay.
design
Okay.
education, you can say that.
See, earlier, whoever came to learn designs or photography, they were really quite serious to learn, because at that time, this kind of courses were not there at all anywhere in India, design courses. So people whoever had come had really worked very hard to learn things. Kumar Vyas is one of the first Indian designer who was head of the design department at NIT. And then some other people came. But as far as design students is concerned, in those days, whoever 5-6 people were there, including Professor Balram, were very serious to work for design concept. And they have really contributed very much. They also learned a method of designing. Now, comparison to this today's thing, today people are sent to learn design. People did not come to learn design from their parents. In our time, we were inclined towards design courses or photography courses. Nowadays, all those new generation, their parents are sending them to learn design. And if they learn it, it is good. If they don't learn it, it is also good for them. So this is the difference between those time and this time.
What is your biggest influence in photography?
Karti Bresson is the biggest influence. I mean, before Before that, the Christine Staub was there, who was a German professor, who was really teaching me very well. I mean, I should really put my guru's sthan in him than Bresson. But Bresson's name was such a big that everything was side heroes. And Bresson is really the one who had really contributed a lot. And wherever I went, in Japan, in Europe, in England, in America, wherever I had gone there, I simply said that I worked with this fellow. They have never asked me what is your qualification. And I was getting red carpet treatment. So it was, the meeting Bresson was the turning point in me.
For photography, there are times when to capture a particular shot, you have to wait for hours long. So what is that one shot for you which you have waited the longest for?
There were quite a few like that. But once I remember that the way I learned from that German professor with all the calculations, that these are the exposures, if you calculate this way, this whole thing can be done in this manner. And there was a small transistor from PRL in those days that we had to photograph it and send it to them. Mr. Christine Staub explained me that these are the ways these are the ways you can do this kind of photography. So I did it. I just arranged everything and did it with Sinar camera. And the calculation was 4 hours. And it was, I checked with him and he said that just correct, go ahead. So in a day I used to shoot 2 photos, arrange it properly, lock the room, then put it on the camera, lock the room and come back. After about 10 minutes to 4 hours, I used to go there and see the things. At that time it was film, so 2 shots in a day. So in 3 days time I shot the whole film and then I processed it. And then I saw that what is it, and fortunately it was nice, just accurate the way it was calculated. And I think I cannot forget that point. And there are many events like that. We had gone to Chittaranjan on All India tour, because you may not be knowing, but I have done almost 20 times around India by road.
Oh.
Showing what is India today to the world. So one of the time I was in Chittaranjan, myself, Dr. Patel, I.S. Mathur, all those people, we were 3 people were there. And while shooting in one of the jungle temple near village, one boy came and started beating us without any reason. So we got the beating. I had Hazard in my hand. And that Hazard is such that it is like a stone. If I put it in on head, you will be gone. You know, such a solid one. And that camera had gone to moon for taking pictures. So that make was there. And we did not do anything, and we simply stood like that. He wanted to beat us wherever he could, and then ran away. So such experience is also there, and one can enjoy it. Once in Darjeeling, we went there to take Kanchanjunga sunrise. Climbing up a little bit in the month of November, it was a bit difficult, but we climb up with almost 20 kilo on the shoulder, because at that time there wasn't anything like digital. So one has to carry 4 or 5 cameras and that many lenses and that many films also you have to carry with you. With that we climbed up, and when we really reached, after so much of trouble, we reached there and there was a cloud. There wasn't any sunrise. So we inquired what will happen. Tomorrow there will be sunlight. It will be normal sunrise. Next day we went there again with so much of trouble. We reached there, and little bit of sun was visible, little bit beyond Kanchanjunga. We photographed those things and came back. So like that, there are quite a few interesting incidents. After that, we came to Darjeeling, where mountaineering school is there, where Tenzing, Tenzing and Hillary, you might have heard these two names, where they were the people who reached mountain Everest first time. Okay, so we went there to photograph that mountaineering school. We went there and saw that we wanted to meet Tenzing. So one of his fellows said, come, took me to the window, and from the window you can see the whole Himalaya. He said, can you see a couple of black dots? Because they are always wearing dark clothes, when they go to mountain. So yes, we can see those. So there, one of them is Tenzing. Would you like to go? We don't want to go there. It was 75 kilometers from the spot we were. So it was an experience of the lifetime. That how can we see Tenzing only 75 kilometers, but you can't see except in small dots. Anyway, after that we did some here and there some work and came back to Calcutta, and then started our tour down south. So like that, there are quite interesting anecdote we have last 20 tours. I mean, these are the ways one has to really grow. All these experiences are really very much needed. You may be knowing that photographer's biggest qualification is traveling, and that qualification somehow I had. 20 times around India is not a small thing. Every time when we come back, I decide next time I don't want to go, like that. I don't want to go next time. But after a couple of months, when such assignments are there, yeah, okay, we'll go. Like that. Okay, we will go.
One
it was sort of addiction.
One question I wanted to ask, which is your favorite camera?
Actually speaking, at NID what we had and what I have learned is that the best possible cameras, now there are different format in the camera, 5x7, 4x5, 6x6, 35mm, all those different ranges are there, right? So all those cameras we had, and as an institutional setup, I had to look after almost all the equipment, and I knew by heart all the equipment very well, because during the Nehru exhibition, to reproduce 75,000 pictures is not a small thing. 24 hours was not enough. So I was handling almost all the cameras. Sinar was really the best possible camera for bigger format. Hasselblad was the medium format, and Nikon was 35mm format. And when we go out, depending upon our type of work, we carry our equipment. So what is favorite, I don't know. But I can only tell you that last so many years I am handling Nikon. When Nikon started, Nikon F first time. From there to Nikon D4 now. So Nikon, I can say Nikon is my favorite. But all cameras are alike as such nowadays. Because all cameras are made through electronic mechanism. So those electronic mechanism is so almost every manufacturer is using. So there is no difference between this and that. Only the marking is different. That how this is Nikon and this is Canon and this is Pentax and this is Minolta or this is that. That kind of thing. Whereas all cameras are alike as such.
Camera, that is the camera sensor. Now comes the lens quality. So which lens would you prefer when you are going to buy? Now that you use Nikon lenses.
Exactly.
But
I knew in my Sinar bigger format camera, Schneider was the lens manufacturer. Schneider from Germany. They were the best. They were the people who had supplied all kinds of lenses related to Leica camera, and they are sharpest possible camera. But Sinar camera and Hasselblad camera, all they had Schneider lenses along with their body. So Schneider German camera, German lenses was the best possible lenses. And in Nikon, of course, the Nikon trademark is there, but otherwise, I don't find any difference between this camera, this lenses and that lens, those lenses.
And which distance lens would you say is the perfect for a beginner?
Oh, for beginner, so I'm telling these people all the time that whatever lens you have, whatever cameras you have, they are good enough to learn things, I will only tell you what are the methodology of utilizing this equipment. Then I give them some interesting example. I said that many times we are talking about expensive camera is very good and this and that. I said everything is okay, but appropriate equipment is must. Appropriate equipment. When you become a photographer already, then you have some speciality in you. And for that speciality, you have to utilize some kind of different equipment. Then when you are learning. When you are learning, you can have any camera. It's not a big deal as such. But after this digital format, they have made cheap camera because that sensor is very small. If sensor is big, then camera price is almost 5 times. The small format, digital small format, and to compensate that, they have made into 18 to 55 lens, and that is the normal lens for these cameras. As such, it is not called normal lens. This is also zoom lens. They are also zoom lens, which covers the little wider and little tele, and that is good enough for beginners.
The kit lens.
A kit lens. That is good enough. But if you are doing something more than that, then perhaps slowly you increase your equipment, especially wildlife. If you are doing bird, you are doing, then you have to have tele lens, which are really very much faster lens, like 2.8 lenses. 2.8 lenses and 5.8 lenses. If it is also 600 mm, this is also 600 mm. 5.6 lens will cost you something like 55,000, and that the same lens of 2.8 will cost you 5 lakhs. So unless you are earning out of it, you cannot afford to have 5 lakhs camera just for the sake of having camera, lenses like that.
You have not dabbled, but you have gone into photography and design. So, what would you say is the most important quality a designer should have?
I should not use in my sort of talk or design. I will try to make it more as a photography requirement.
Okay.
In photography, patience is the most important thing. You must have patience. You must have time for whatever you want to do. You cannot say that, no, I don't have time to do this. That will not work. And same thing in designs also. In design also, you cannot make jatpat design. You need to think. You need to really analyze. You need to refer certain things. Now, all those things require time and patience. So I am sure photography and design both where you had to use your patience.
We'll end with one last question.
Is it last one?
Yes.
Okay.
So do you have any books, movies or documentary you want to recommend to the listener?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you have already seen some of the films like Baraka, Sansara, and World of Edinburgh. I don't remember the name of that film, but it was Edinburgh's film on world development, and he had 13 different parts of documentary. That was really well done, and if you don't have it, you should have it through your internet, and you must have those things. And old masters life sketch. Nowadays it is available on the internet, like Cartier-Bresson, David Douglas Duncan, Edward Weston, and few more. Those people have really started photography in a way that it is popular now. Some of the modern photographers like Salgado is one of the photographer, Mexican, I think. he made a small speech which I heard, in which he was in East Africa zone where people were just dying without food. But at Salgados, he in his talk he really showed the way you are. I am giving my talk like that. He has given his talk, and for a couple of years he was doing those dying people's pictures, and then at the end he became really crazy. When he went back, his wife said that, "No, you are not going back again." He said, "No, I cannot do that. I will have to. I have a lot of people waiting for me. I would like to see. I would like to help them in many ways." But somehow he was stopped there. He got a treatment, psychological treatment, and he then stayed in his village where all the hills and everything was without trees. And he thought that this is a good idea now. He started calling people and said that let us start putting the trees. And in 5 years' time, he made the whole thing beautiful hills with the trees. And then they got all the rain and all kinds of good thing, animal, everything they got, middle of the hills, where there wasn't anything. One has to really travel 10-15 kilometers to get some food. But he then started doing like this and made the whole thing very green. So photographer's life is also one of the very important part in developing our students. I already told them that they should have some kind of such film scene. Instead of seeing your mobile and whatever you want to see, you see it. Instead, you see something like this, and I'm sure as a designer, your ideas can be really broadened. So there are a lot of such things it is possible to do by designers and photographers.
So photography, as you said, instills patience in you, and the value has diminished because patience, the value, you could say the attention span has reduced, and now you can take a photo on your phone and be done with it. But do you think designers these days want to make it big too soon? They're not willing to do the hard work. They just want the fame.
Yeah, you are right. They would like to become Tandulkar immediately. But one has to really go through the whole sequence of whatever good and bad time he had. Like that, in designers or photographers, they have to work very hard. They don't have to look for success as such. Success will come with your hard work only. A kind of assignments I got after I left NID was tremendous. And not once, twice or thrice, I got 20 times some assignments where I had to travel around India. Is not a small thing. People had faith in me that this assignment, if I give it to this fellow, he will do it. That kind of confidence they had. That is how I got into it. And nowadays people do not have that thing. That is true. But they will have to. We have to make them understand that it is necessary to have hard work. Now, as you mentioned about digital photography, that you do with your telephone and everything is done. It is not like that. See, everybody has got pen. Some people have got very big pen, very nice pen, Mont Blanc or Lamy or many things. But do you think that they are all writers? So if they have a very good camera, do you think they are photographers? So what is needed is patience and inclines and understanding of the world around, and you can do really good work. I forgot to tell in between. National Geography is the only magazine who had used photography extensively, and even now also. Now they have gone into film, but photography book is also they produce the collections of writers and photographers, and they are so good, they're so interesting. If students are interested, they should really go through it and There are marvelous design solutions and design problems they can see in that. So there are very serious people. There are not very serious people also. And nowadays, my personal my feeling is that you have got so many design institutions all around India, which I feel it is really difficult. What you have is just one, two, three design schools, and they should really be producing good designers instead of producing 10 different design institutions and producing nothing. The most important part in this one is that you have not prepared design teachers, and you are preparing a design institute. First of all, you prepare design teachers, and the teachers' design program should be as much as possible, and then those people can really teach to the students. Nowadays, if you have already PhD, you become the director of this institute and that institute, but practically they don't know anything about it. You are lucky to have Professor Balram like people that from the scratch they have learned things. And see that their thinking is not just like that. Their thinking is like yogis. You might have heard him, I am sure. So his thinking also makes a lot of difference, and that thinking will make the whole students also think about it. Instead of producing 20 other departments, this, that, everything, have a minimum department possible and teach teachers to train other students. NID also, I think, they are really doing blunder of not producing design teachers. I'm telling them also the same thing. It's not that I have to tell you. I'm telling them also that this is really blunder.
Rather than creating more institutions, the education what is being provided should be improved with the teachers.
More institutions, okay, but there should be a teacher who can teach in those big institutions, and that is not a thing. That is not done. And I remember whatever photography education I was giving at NIT, I never had spelled out that this is the thing you have to teach. Not like that. But depending upon students' interest, I used to give them exercise. Oh, you do this, you do this, you do this, like that. And because they have decided to do something like this, they used to do it. If you force them to do, they will never do it. When I left NIT, afterwards, whatever I was teaching, same thing was written down, and those are number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 6. If you finish number 6, you are in the next class. Like that. Which when I heard it, when I knew about it, I was feeling very sorry. But I couldn't help it. Because I am not from a rich father's son that I can leave everything and be there. I also needed some money, and they were paying 150 rupees per month. And when I left, I was getting 700 rupees. So it is not right as far as design institution is concerned. But afterwards, after a couple of years, it has become 100,000 for everyone. If we were there and if we were given 100,000, perhaps we could have been different designers altogether. But anyway, this is life. And at the age of 78 also I am working. I am happy working, but most of the time after 70s people don't work. But I like people like you, young people who are really trying to learn things. See, all are not learning. In your institute also, all are not learning. Very few are learning. But whatever few are learning, they will learn it. And if they get people like me, perhaps it will be good for them. Like me in the sense, the experience, kind of experience I have. I think very few photographers in India have. I am not boasting myself, but I am trying to make our students understand that with whom you are learning. So be serious about it, And quite a few are very serious. Okay, thank you very much.
You can follow us on Instagram at thinkingdesign.india for updates and sneak peeks of upcoming episodes. This episode was recorded in the DJ Academy of Design, Coimbatore. I'm your host Vedant Sharma. Thank you for listening.